Check, 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 1, 2, check, check, 1, 2, 1, 2. Who would have knew? Blah, blah, blah. Okay. The mic, as always there's tech issues. So I'm just gonna rip that band-aid right off. If there's audio issues from the most important side, your side, viewer side, if you can hear or you can't hear, I will need somebody on the other end to give me a little say so. I decided, first off, this is the tail end of my vacation. I am nearing the 10-day mark of 10 days off and mixed feelings. It's never quite, thank you, Queen, and hello. And, well, this has been a bittersweet vacation, staycation. It's been all things. I've been out, I've been in, and tomorrow I'm going to do my most drastic thing, and everybody will see the results when I return. So I'm just really gonna rip right in. There's a lot of personal things I could share. I've been having a internal crisis, something or another, but that's not what I'm here for. I'm here for something I just happened upon, and y'all know how I like to go, how I roll, preferably. I see something and I immediately watch like the first few seconds, and then I decide, do I want to watch this in privacy and miss those fresh thoughts? I want to capture those. That's why, hey, Miss Thang and Queen, I've missed you too. Missed all of you, for that matter. So, all right, I know this is one that's I'm just gonna have to make a duplicate account on Rumble for Progressive Patriot because I know for a fact videos like this are not going to be benefited by the algorithms of this YouTube street. Okay, CRT is something that's just too sensitive. So I'm gonna go ahead and stop procrastinating. Maxwell, I would love to have a conversation with you based on one of your fantastic comments today regarding that post I shared. I think too much about loss and memories from the past. I got to learn to really focus in the now. But okay, let's stay off my ranting. Here's the whole thing. I'm a little rusty, I feel. So here's what I'm gonna watch fresh first time. This is as far as I've gotten is 43 seconds. Okay. Um, Again, I want to point out that this is all from the view of somebody, and I know this is like a dead horse, but anybody that's new, especially when I upload this on Rumble, anybody that's new to the channel here has to understand I spent 29 years as a Democrat. I mean, well, I wasn't voting as a freaking baby or a teenager for that matter, but always with as I think about my family growing up, it was always a like common sense blue no matter who household. And then when I got really politically active, I pointed out who the people that got me active are. Ron Paul got my attention. Ross Perot in '92, the first man that tried to break things down and explain them to the American people and was laughed off the stage and made into SNL parodies. I remember him well for some reason. And I already mentioned Ron Paul about keeping it in America first, mind our own borders, and then Bernie Sanders, and then just fast forward. And I was, big Obama guy, could do no wrong. He was the darling of the media, and I was very unaware of the media's machinations. Fast forward to present day, I'm disenfranchised. I have no love or trust for our current government or government in any function. The media, the FBI, any three-letter institutions are just the strong arm of the very filth that we want to be rid of. So with that context, me covering CRT as I'm about to, and I've only seen 40 seconds out of this footage, this is quite a evolution, and I hope that's been documented and understood by everybody that watches. I do come back and read every comment. So without further ado, I'm not going to say let's get ready to get offended, but out of the 43 seconds I heard, I was pretty shocked at the two things that they said right off rip, that this is currently in schools and being taught to, well, everybody. I'm going to start. Let me know with that audio. Text me if somebody can. Okay, here we go.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to take a second because I'm pretty convinced that most members, I'd be willing to bet that most members haven't actually read many of the critical race theory books that are in our curriculum at our military academies and that are being used as a basis for a lot of the training. So I'm going to read a couple of quotes from some of those books. One is, all whites are racist.
I got a text.
Because
All right, hold on. The opening there is all whites are racist. Okay, so that's the first thing that sticks out. I can tell the feedback from his thing is just nil. So that's what's in the book. These are the textbooks that everybody or the Democrats are pushing to be read by school children, teenagers. I don't know. I haven't played. I'm going to continue. I just want to come in and check on the audio. I know it's not perfect, but hell, what is this day and age? We've never had perfection, but where we're heading, I'm for the first time really, really getting alarmed. And I get it. I'm starting to see millennials be used as a terminology similar to okay boomer. I was like laughed at as a millennial and being an old fogey. Like times are rushing past me, man. I guess we're all getting there, huh? All right, I'm gonna do my best with this audio situation. So all whites are racist. That's the first thing that's read out loud at this hearing here. This is from Blaze TV. Credit due where it's due. Let's see how this goes with the feedback.
All whites benefit from systemic white privilege.
Does that include white passing? I know I use this card a lot, but it's important. Like, let's define white first off, if we can. I'm Colombian and Jewish, and I have something similar to white skin. But the fact that this even has to be read aloud, doesn't this plant the seed of difference? Doesn't this plant the seed of we are not the same? And even worse so, already we're gonna go in. This is regression, okay? Especially if these are new minds that are learning CRT, and I don't know at what level this is introduced into any curriculum. What is it gonna do but teach dissension and self-loathing? So I hope I learned something valuable aside from propaganda. And I know to my lefty friends that I still have that bash heads with me because I do these very streams, because I'm even on Rumble. I don't fully understand. Like, I would love for somebody to sit down and tell me how I benefited from systemic white privilege or racism. We've all had our scraps, and I know that minorities especially have gone through struggles, some that I maybe could not even comprehend or understand. But how is this helpful? How is this helpful?
Oh, okay. Let's go from the book that's currently today, and I will enter into the record according to the superintendent in the West Point curriculum.
Without objection, so
wait, West Point. So we're talking about basic training camps here.
ordered.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. That many critical race theorists and social scientists hold that racism is so pervasive, so systemic, and so deeply ingrained in American society that taking this perspective, no white member of society is innocent. None.
Okay.
First of all, I don't even know how you determine if everyone is white, but that's a separate conversation. But according to these theories,
I'm kind of biting my tongue right now. I'm not on Rumble. I'm on YouTube. I can't speak freely on YouTube, right? YouTube. So again, we're all told, and when I say we all, I mean this as all of us, like as human beings. Okay, this critical race theory, I am not recognizing any positive benefits to teaching anybody out there in the world that there is any race that wholly benefits and should have such guilt within us. At what point do we let go? Not let go. We remember history and we rely on progress so we can march forward. We can't let history become something that holds us down, holds us back. Then we do the opposite of what our forefathers, I would believe, would want us to do, which is learn from our history, learn from our past, learn from our mistakes, celebrate our growth instead of always harping on political talking points and pandering to anything that would just garnish a vote, to give any false sense of empowerment. You think these words on a page are doing any good to any minority anywhere on this fucking planet? I dare you to point out how learning this is in any shape or form some sort of core value that's going to help you in your own personal life and journey. How about go meet somebody, shake their hand and say, how do you do? And I'm learning maybe it's my age again. I'm a millennial. I'm an old fogey now. Apparently, I say this in jest. I went to the mall And when I shared my age upon request, oh my God, you're like a millennial, dude. That's old. Wow, man, life is really happening fast. I'm overwhelmed. Midlife crisis initiated. So, okay, let's learn more about, anything white looking is just darn near evil. I got it. Okay. And I'm not fooling. And this is not a talking point. I'm just making kind of a joke. You know me and my comics, you can see in the background, I bought a Batman book, and they literally made something called, instead of the black market, they call it the white market. But it's not for any reason that you might guess, although who knows, okay? Some of the writers getting in there slip some stuff in the material that's a little wild. But no, it's the white market because it's done in daylight, and it plays with like the light pigmentations, and too complicated, but I just thought that was funny. But again, who knows? I don't. I need to read it again. Okay, learn me something.
Going to our 18-year-old cadets, military members.
So this is, yo, man. Okay, to cadets in the military where they're supposed to just have one color, which is green, to my knowledge, right? Every veteran friend I have or have known has never spoken to me about any racial issues. I am not daring to claim there isn't any, hasn't been any, or hasn't been rife within our history, but damn near every single one that I know, and that's a lot. I'm not trying to flex. I'm just saying I know a lot of veterans, or people that have served, that did not experience any kind of racism. And I'm talking about people from all kinds of cultures and backgrounds and skin colors, appearing, what they are or otherwise. So I don't understand the purpose or rhetoric to be taught to soldiers. We're supposed to be unified. We're breaking at the seams. And I'm remembering they're pandering Navy commercials with drag queens. That's real life. I thought it was a dream. I thought it was a nightmare. No, Josh and I covered that on Stuck at Night. That's a real commercial.
Family members. I'll just do one more. I have a whole list because this one is also, according to White Fragility, that a positive white identity is an impossible goal. White identity is inherently racist. White people don't exist outside the system of white supremacy. And therefore, this author in particular strives to be, quote, less white so that this author can be less racially.
This reminds me of something like BuzzFeed wrote, like Dear White People. Has it really reached textbooks in our bases to 18-year-old brains? Telling me this is just a scene out of Black Mirror. I'm going to wake up, and my audio will be perfect too. Okay.
Oppressive. So, Mr. Chairman, my amendment is very simple. This seeks it will not authorize funds for the teaching. It's very narrow, folks. We've talked a lot about history, about racism. History should be taught. Racism exists. This is talking about critical race theory and the divisiveness of one of thousands of quotes from these materials that I could read you that says the term CRT means a theory that individuals, by virtue of race, ethnicity, color, national origin, bear collective guilt and are inherently responsible for actions committed in the past by other individuals such as race, ethnicity, color, or national origin. Mr. Chairman, I'd also like to enter into the record.
I remember when I lost a very good friend because I decided to talk politics with her. This is not name dropping. I'm not dropping her last name, although I remember it very uniquely. And Diana was her first name. We knew each other for years through LiveJournal. And then when Facebook came around and we got to know each other a little better, Facebook required a bit more transparency, photos. And I guess, I don't know what was different when you spoke anonymously on freaking my journal, whatever the hell it was back in the day. And what made it so damn different? Oh, yeah, it was the election and the tension. This is when I was supporting Bernie Sanders, and I just disagreed with a fellow Democrat or progressive. She claimed that there's no such thing as racism by a minority. She's a white woman that was in a relationship with a Indian individual, like of Hindu descent, I believe. She said there's no such thing as, reverse racism, that to be racist, it has to come from the white people. It's impossible to experience it, and I laughed because I come from a multicultural background, Colombian, Jewish, whatever, within my own Colombian clan, and having friends of multicultural backgrounds, I witnessed racism of different Hispanics to Hispanics, blacks to blacks, Haitians to American blacks. Okay, so she literally said, "We can't be friends anymore. I'm sorry, I just can't be friends with someone that condones racism." And that she broad stroked me with being a racist because I would not concede to her thinking. I declined to think like her, even though we voted the same, had the same values, and pretty much were nearly the same on paper. And I lost that friendship that we coveted over I don't know how many years. Like that was almost a decade. Poof, gone because of one difference of opinion. Because I couldn't concede that I am somehow a racist, even though I am multiple races. I'm an American mutt. So yeah, I remember that. So with that being said, now that went from a conversational piece to being taught to minds that are growing and sponging everything up. Brains don't fully develop till what, 25 or later? I don't remember, but I just don't see the value. I don't see where this becomes a positive and helps somebody become somebody better in the future. I don't.
The op-ed from the Air Force Academy. These were those who say this just doesn't exist. Air Force Academy instructor that is still teaching. That's confirmed. That says she proudly teaches CRT, not DEI, not history, not that racism needs to be dealt with. Absolutely agree with all of those things. That CRT should be proudly taught at our military academy. Mr. Chairman, we need to get back to our fundamentals that I think this committee can unify around and carve this cancer out from our teaching and our training. And
while I'm on YouTube, before I surrender entirely and live on Rumble, I will maintain a foot in each pond here. I call out to any of my Democrat friends that are so loud and proud on Facebook and social media, Instagram, whatever. All of those big old posts and circle jerks where y'all like each other's stuff, but you never dare to go on to the other aisle and have discourse, which is what pushed me out in the first place, because I wasn't allowed to think freely and question openly. I dare. I don't dare in a negative way. I extend my arm, my hand, an olive branch to come over here. I've offered countless people to come speak with me on here. Suddenly, your identity is a big deal, even though you're on the internet posting about it all the live long day. I've offered people to come comment here, speak anonymously. Nope. They just want to rest and think how they think and be freaking patted on the back for it. You are going to be the downfall of this country, or that way of thinking. I'm not just saying I'm not even going as far as saying the left solely. Okay, no. When we have legislation that's passed bipartisanly without any red flags or news flashes about it passing, when we have a dog and pony show being, flickered in front of us to make us all go, "Oh, a tank exploded surfing for the Titanic. Oh, and what's that? Hunter Biden was just signed the plea deal that very day, and the information was withheld so it could be reported on a Thursday just so they could oversaturate the news media and bury the other story." Oh, those are the tactics that are destroying us right now. It's already been happening. I am terrified for this next election cycle, and I've been talking with some of my more philosophical friends as of late during this vacation, and we're all equally terrified. One of my best friends is going as far as teaching his teenage son, to live off the grid, live off the land, and I don't want to be too open about anybody else's life. So I'll just say he is. And it's kind of depressing because, me and this best friend, we had a huge clique of friends. Like, that's just how we rolled. That's our generation. And then the generational gap. His son, he loves to play video games, but he's not big on the social media aspect. He likes to live in the now and in nature. He wants a forge. He wants to be able to bend metal and steel. He wants a trade. And he doesn't want the kinds of friends he knows. And that scares me. I take that example and I multiply it to our countrymen, to our children. And I am terrified. I can't even articulate or show with emotions or words how scared I am of the future. I'm not bitter like, Clint Eastwood a la Gran Torino, just mad at my yard because it's in the front. I'm not yelling at the clouds, but I am saying, hey, I'm scared and I don't know how else to articulate that. Please don't mistake me for being angry, because often fear is mistaken for anger when really we need to embrace a conversation that is being withheld from us. The lines in the sand are being drawn. The red tape is being strewn in with pronouns, and you can't say this. And look at Canada's laws and its draconian state. And now it's starting to sift its way state by state by state in here. And I just see I'm not a prophet of any kind. I'm just looking at the data as it grows and expands. And I'm still here looking at CRT. And I've been wondering, why are they pushing it so hard? Like, what is the grand design? What does happen? What is the purpose for this to be taught to every American that's growing up within an academy or military-esque function? I don't see any win here. I truly don't. And I do beg anybody that's on the other end to tell me what the win is. What's the end game? What's the purpose? To devalue a human being and make them feel less than. Is it out of spite? If that's it, I understand spite. Just tell me that's what it is. But tell me why it's in a textbook.
I yield my time.
Chair now recognizes the ranking member.
Thank you. And this would be the other issue. This is the effort to separate CRT from DEI. And to be clear for Mr. Banks, we are advocates on our side for DEI. We believe that diversity, equity, inclusion matters. We are not advocates for CRT. The issue is whether or not it's something that is prevalent and important enough in society that.
Brief pause. Let me know in the comments, because I'm going to jump back for a moment. If the audio is, just hit 1 if it's decent enough, and 2 if it's just terrible, and then I'll know that I need to really upgrade from there. It's better on Rumble anyway. Moving on for now. I'm going to let it play.
Young people being taught to join the military would benefit from hearing about it. And I would hope, I mean, you guys spend a lot of time talking about how pervasive CRT is in our society and pervasively wrong. And by the way, there are many aspects of that I agree with. I think there are many areas where that's being pushed in a way that is detrimental to our society.
Thank you.
But you can't deny that it's a thing in America right now. So if you're growing up and you want to serve this country, being aware of what that thing is. And by the way, I have actually read what you just said and all that.
So right now, the gentleman here, Mr. McConnell, opened up saying they don't support CRT. It sounds like he's diminishing it. And going back to a baseline, like I kind of understand that it needs to be taught so we're all aware, but the awareness that they're trying to teach, it appears to be that white people are not allowed to be proud of anything, and if they are, it's probably because racist. That's what I'm understanding, but I haven't let the man finish.
Get into the details, understand what's going on here, okay? And it makes me much more informed, so that I can talk about how, look, I support diversity, equity, inclusion. I think we have a racism problem in this country. I think we've had an even worse one in the past that impacts, as many have said here.
I'm glad that there's some acknowledgement of progress. Worse in the past. So why can't we ever talk about progress made in the present? Why can't we ever talk about like the present tense? That not alienates us, but separates us from how bad it was when it's described as worse. I don't see anything of the sort. The embrace and the battles that have all been fought and have been earned, the spoils, the victories, I never see them reported. It's always a negative upon a negative. I don't know if it's some grander way to beat somebody's psychology down en masse. I don't know what that does to a young developing brain. Actually, I do. Think about anybody that has low self-esteem. Compound it with taking away things that they could find pride in. And I remember the conversations of people always saying, you can't be proud if you're white because that's racist. I remember actually being in agreement with that when I was growing up as a Democrat. That was a brain that was still growing and molding. That was in my early 20s. Fully developed, a little burnt, a little spent. I got 2 brain cells left that I can barely rub together, but I can at least acknowledge that we've had some progress. Just like I can look at, say, and I'm tired of bringing up Trump. Trump did some good. That was radical for me to say even back then. after I said, okay, enough with Bernie Sanders. When I said that, it was, oh, that's so shocking. Are you going fully right wing on us? Oh my God, you're alt-right. The hyperbole, man, the intensity. And that's what CRT is to me. Hyperbole, sensationalism. It's that panache that the media spin puts on anything to make it flare and in your face and get into your guts and your emotions, muddle you up, make you all confused so you can't understand facts anymore. I don't know. I'm not calling anything a psyop. I'm just saying it would probably confuse somebody that's 18.
Where we're at now. You can't pretend that 400 years worth of this didn't have an impact on how
Thank you.
society is perceived. So I'm aware of that. And I'm also aware of the theories that take it a heck of a lot further than that and don't agree with them. And I do not believe, and this is where the famous conversation between Secretary Austin and Chairman Milley was very misunderstood. We don't advocate for what you just said within the military. It is not the official doctrine of the United States military to advocate for a single thing that you just said. Now, is it possible that there are people within the military who do advocate for that? Certainly it's possible. And I think that makes the debate more interesting.
Why? Why is that possible? Why is that allowed to be possible? That all whites are racist and that's it. Like that should not be a baseline that's taught. I don't care. I am not a radical. I am not a racist. I am not a bigot. I'm not walking on eggshells. I am not overtly sensitive. I am not triggered. I don't care. Why is that okay to be taught? And how can he just be like, that makes the debate more interesting? No, the debate should be that kind of material and propaganda is harmful because I don't see anybody benefiting in any positive sense that I can fathom in all the vastness of my imagination. And we should be acting aggressively to get it taken out like a tumor. Operate. Doctor, come on now.
But I stand by the statement that the United States military does not advocate for the theories that you just expounded. They do not.
But it's
and I defy anyone to say otherwise. That is not what the United States military does. So putting forward an amendment that prevents us from discussing something that is a very important part of American society right now, I think undermines the way we are training our United States military.
Teach history, not CRT. How about that? It sounds like a problem solver to me.
I think to not talk about it now is just as dumb as if we weren't talking about Marxism in the 1970s. It's something that our military needs to talk about. So
somebody please make sense as to why we even have ads. Like, does it make me, I know I'm a turf guy, okay? Yes, biological sexes competing in their own sports and recognizing them for, genetically and biologically how they are, who they are, yes, and not putting their identity firmly into just how they want to be identified. I understand, but please tell me that I don't come off as some hateful bigot because I have that opinion that I may hold up to maybe a high regard to where I may come off stubborn to some. But still, I play in those fields, so to speak, where I respect somebody that I know is trans and I respect their pronouns. As long as they're not, demanding and disrespectful and condescending. And I don't know why I just went on that tangent. I just I don't understand a lot of things that are occurring. The Navy has a commercial for drag queens, and is it that crazy to say, like, what does that have to do with wanting a soldier? Why does it need to? And I hear like joining in our American military is lower right now. I'm only going statistically based off of what I hear in passing when I move through the house and whatever's on. So I can only report that I've heard it off of the mainstream mouthpiece.
I oppose this amendment for
but I've seen the video.
Entirely different reasons than I oppose the ones that go after DEI, but it should be part of an academic discussion in America right now. So I oppose this amendment for those reasons, and I yield back.
You oppose the amendment?
Gentleman yields back.
You're opposing the fact that it's being taught that all whites are bad, period. Like, there's no reason that I need to go in any deeper, all right? Whites can't have pride. Whites are all benefiting from some invisible force called privilege and have all had an easier life. You know what? I can't believe how long I bought into that and drank that Kool-Aid. Everybody's life is tough and rough. Everybody's battle is different and unique. Everybody's going through something that someone else is not aware of. And to broad stroke an entire race so comfortably, so cocky, is just insulting. It's like spitting in our face and then rubbing in our eyes or something.
Chair, now recognize the gentlelady from Michigan, Ms. McLean, for 3 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And just an observation, I wonder what the thoughts on the other side of the aisle would be if we changed the word white for black. I wonder if they'd have the same intensity. But with that, I yield the balance of my time to Mr.
Interesting.
Waltz.
Okay, let's see where this goes.
Thank you, Ms. McLean. And Mr. Chairman, just a couple more points. I know we belabored this, but to Ms. McLean's point, I have a biracial son. He's half Arab. I don't know. I think if you looked at him, you may label him as white. I'm not sure. I know Mr. Mills has a multiracial background. What we're trying to get away from and get back to are the fundamental tenets of the civil rights movement that actually CRT opposes, number one. And to the ranking members,
the contents of someone's character, not what they look like.
Point. I think this is a critical point. We have a lot of blending between a teaching of history, which the ranking member is advocating for, what blends over into training and instruction. And when you are a young cadet, when you are a young 18, 19-year-old private, and you are being trained to do something or trained that you should think in a certain way, that is dangerously blending into indoctrination. And that's why the amendment is worded
indoctrination
in the way that it does.
I don't know how I forgot that word existed. Thank you to this man, Mr. Johnson, that just reminded me. That's really what it is when you start going for attacking, because these are young brains. 18-year-olds are still children, just in adult bodies that just haven't caught up yet. I mean, I don't know how else to put it. 18 is an early age. It's nothing short of indoctrination to introduce this kind of curriculum or material to a whole class or generation of people to self-loathe or be to hate, I don't know, hate their ancestry, to feel bad. And what is the implications of what that can manifest into psychologically down the road in the future? That scares me too. We're all going to be weak as a result. How much backpedaling has to be done? Teach the history as it is, as it was, and take out all this philosophical theorizing crap. It's pseudoscience. It's fake. It's I don't know, man. It's bullshit with sugar on top. And if you take the sugar off the top, it's still bullshit. That's what this curriculum is. Take it out. Just have the conversations. But get that out of being taught to young minds that are growing and being taught to be soldiers and proud of something greater than themselves. I don't understand what this is trying to root out, because this is not going to be effective for anything. If there's a so-called systemic privilege or like a baseline racism that just cannot be rooted out, what's even the point of having CRT? It's there. It's systemic. It's baseline. So it's just by you having CRT, you're going against the very doctrine that you report. I think I found some inconsistency as I'm ranting like a fucking maniac, but this shit is driving me wild. I want to love my country again. Is that okay with the government?
And then finally this point, because I think this gets lost as well, of yes, we teach communism. That doesn't make it communism. Yes, we teach CRT. I may not agree with it. There are things that we don't teach. We don't teach the fundamental underpinnings, and we certainly don't let it blend into the training of fascism or white supremacy or other things. And at the end of the day, my opposition to CRT is you cannot fight discrimination, which absolutely exists and should always be fought against, with more discrimination over the color of someone's skin and assumptions about their lived experience because of the color of their skin. We have to move away from it. I encourage my colleagues to support this, and I certainly support the notion that we are spending this time because of the time we spent over the last several years moving in the wrong direction. I yield my time.
Gentleman yields back. Chair now recognize the gentlelady from Alabama.
Thank you, Mr.
Sewell,
Chair.
for 3 minutes.
I oppose this amendment. I sat and listened to the last few debates about this subject.
I just need to understand if the opposition is opposing the removal, because it's not the institution. It's already there. It's in our bases, taught to the privates entering. 18-year-old kids. That's what they are. So I need to understand. So I will continue to listen. And I wish people would surrender to listening a little more often.
You know, as a proud product of Alabama's Black Belt and the member of Congress that represents Alabama's Civil Rights District, Birmingham, Montgomery, my hometown of Selma, Alabama, I couldn't sit and listen anymore without at least stating the facts. And the facts are that while 40% of our military is people of color, 20% Black, I think that all Americans have to be seen and to be heard. And frankly, I think that this whole debate about CRT, the debate about DEI, is really about not being seen. You can say that we're
telling a white person to hate themselves because of something that happened 400 years ago, or not recognize. I don't know. I'm gonna let the young lady, Miss McLean, finish her statement, but not being seen or heard. DEI is diversity, economic investment, or something like that. That, when it comes to finances, numbers, data points, I'm open to that, and how minorities are impacted financially. That I think is a worthy cause, but this goes a step further to psychologically bend and have all whites, broad stroked and generally speaking, looked at negatively. And I would ask Miss McLean, if I were at the very hearing, how would you feel if we just negatively shined a light on the entirety of the race in question, your race? It's so crazy that I even feel uncomfortable to say it out loud. This is not the country that, being afraid to say things out loud is wild. I don't care about getting canceled. But the other woman, I don't think we had an answer to her question. What if it was replaced? What if, just what if, we took out white and said Black instead, and told them to focus on every negative point? History can be taught. You can teach the good and the bad. You don't have to force feed the bad into some, pseudo intellectual nonsense that we're told is to be our present and our future.
Are all equal. But we know that 400 years of slavery and segregation makes us
These are those rhombohedron crystals in your pineal gland.
Pineal gland. Okay.
In the eyes of in our own eyes, we need to be seen. It's not enough to say that you're race neutral. I am Black. My lived experiences are different. My lived experiences are different. Even
how does slamming down somebody that just has a lighter skin color benefit your race is my question.
Among and within our own race. And I feel invalidated when I hear that we want to do away with DEI and CRT when it's taught in the military.
And I spoke very soon about DEI. I just learned that acronym today. Okay. So give me that much slack.
Military or training that's done in the military. I feel offended.
Indoctrination. Let's get it right. Indoctrination to young teenagers.
By it. And I want you to hear my offense. My offense is that I have a lived experience that I want you to know about because it reflects.
So you can share it. Does that equal all white man and woman bad? Is that what it equals? Is that what your 40 years of life has equaled to? Because if that's the case, I feel terrible. I feel absolutely saddened. And that you are sitting on the very chair, the cornerstone of the civil rights movement in Alabama, and all of the historic places and the events that occurred. Is that not a disservice? You want to be heard, but is the platform, does it need to be all whites are evil inherently? Can't avoid it, need to accept it and move on. That is not a discussion I think that many people will want to indulge in, but you get teenagers in, they have to listen. They can't tune out.
It's reflected in what I do and how I do it. And so it's not enough to just say that we're all equal, that we're all seen as equal. Well, we're not seen as equal. Now, it may not necessarily be intentional, but nevertheless, it is about preferences that people have, predilections that people have. And I think that as long as we are the United States of America, our Army should reflect the beautiful tapestry of diversity. That's how we win. We are a mighty force, but we are also a force that is truly diverse. And in that diversity, I think
I'm going to remind, I've always been taught by any of my friends that were in the military that they did not see race, not a single one, whether they saw battle or not, and they only saw the uniform, only the uniform. By teaching CRT, you're taking away from that, in my opinion. You're adding a whole other layer of conversation and a different kind of self-awareness. It's not quite self-awareness. It's propaganda, I guess. I'm just not in favor of it, so I'm using more negative words on it here, because this is my opinion, okay? And I'm going to share it as is, loved or hated. So she's sharing her opinion here, but the baseline is anybody that has skin that's similar to this is just, benefiting from privileges and just having a hell of a time every fucking day. Are you crazy?
lies our strength. And so I want to be heard when I say that diversity matters, inclusion matters.
This country would not be where it is if we didn't actually take these buzzwords that you're using seriously. This sounds like a woman that is not acknowledging any progress that's ever been done. And that makes me sad. Mad, but very, very sad, first and foremost.
Equity matters. And when we're trying to recruit the best and the brightest, we need to make sure that the right folks are on the field. And if you exclude women, Blacks, and others, we're not.
Who in the hell mentioned exclusion? I didn't hear any of that. That was mushed into this to make and embellish the point she is withholding about, I guess, opposing the removal of CRT. Well played, politician, Miss McLean. Well played. So now it's not just the removal of CRT. No, it's turned into the removal of entire races and genders, all in one go, in almost one breath. I'd clap if I could.
Not getting the best product. We're not having the best.
Don't talk about our military like, our human beings, our sons, daughters, brothers, sisters, products. Now you're really talking like a politician, McLean.
Team on the field. And as a proud Alabamian who loves to win football games, roll Tide, I want to win.
Thank you, Ms. Sewell. The chair now recognizes Mr. Mills.
I hope I didn't misunderstand, but I'm trying to understand what oppose is here in this hearing.
Well, I want to just comment on a few things because I think that a lot of this that we're discussing, we're in vehement agreement on. I truly love the fact that we have diversity. Our military, though, did not start its diversity programs and becoming diverse since this presidency. It's been a diverse force for many, many decades.
But what?
But there's a difference between the identification and definition of equity and equality. See, equity, as it's been described, is about equal outcome for everyone, where the military is about ensuring meritocracy and it believes in equal opportunity. When we talk about inclusion, I can tell you that whether it was in my service in the 82nd Airborne Division, whether it was the part of JSOC for CJTF 20, we had a tremendous amount of inclusion because we were all serving one purpose and one goal and one nation.
It's been like that for quite some time. And I broke into his speech a little early here, but okay, I'm in. I'm drawn in. I would like to hear where the gentleman is going, Mr. Elford.
What we weren't serving was one party's agenda. My son, as my colleague, Congressman Waltz, had talked about, is both a Caucasian male descendant.
Just like the FBI has been made to be weaponized as they're a political weapon. That's what the whistleblowers have all come out to say, right? And as being a strong arm of the government, which has turned them into a party-biased force, they were infiltrating our social media platforms. Hi, YouTube. So yeah, imagine the damage of politicizing our military. I don't want to go there. I won't even speculate into that. That scares me so much. I wouldn't even turn my lights out to sleep.
And also an Arab descendant. And I can tell you that I wouldn't want my son to be treated any differently just because of some of his ethnic backgrounds. I want him to be treated as an American. I want him to be given the opportunities to live out his life and to achieve what he wants through his own hard work and efforts, and the equal opportunities that still exist because of this body that protects that. So while we're utilizing on my colleagues on the left, DEI as a way of thinking to bring us together, we have to acknowledge the fact that the reports that we've requested, the findings that we see, which has nothing to do with any former president dividing our military or politicizing it, is because there is a moral deficit and that we need to be addressing these things. I strongly support Congressman Walt's amendment here, and I hope that our colleagues, both on the left and who sit with me on the right, are able to work through an idea of how we can achieve our common goals to recognize commonalities instead of continuing to try and identify what separates us. With that, I yield back.
It reminds me of the very old, tried and true, the Progressive Patriot moniker: identify that which unifies us. Okay, and the dividers should not be allowed to divide us continually, time and time again. So now, all right, so I'm understanding. So the opposition here is for keeping CRT in, as I understand it. And this is frustrating. This is our tax dollars. Like, we have, I don't know, regressed 100 years just by teaching this shit, in my humble opinion. And it's just the CRT aspect, just planting a seed of self-hatred to anybody. That sounds spiteful.
I'd like to thank Mr. Mills. The chair now recognizes the gentlelady from Virginia, Ms. McClellan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm going to repeat again the definition of equity. Equity is not about equal outcomes. Equity is about recognizing that two different people, for a wide variety of reasons, start in different starting blocks. Equity recognizes that one of those people may have more hurdles on the track. Equity means that you recognize those facts and you meet them where they are.
Wouldn't that be the DEI aspect, where you look at the diversity economic situation? That's my immediate question. But okay.
Give them what they need to succeed. So my colleagues on the other side of the aisle, frankly, nationally, because I keep hearing these same arguments in my own state where I started the year as a state legislator.
There is a reason why you keep hearing about it and why it won't just be wholeheartedly swallowed like the vaccine was attempted to be shoved down our throats. Okay, there's a reason. There's a process, not a protocol. There's an American process here where we all need to have our say heard. She wants to be heard. Let the American people have a little vote on this. Let's take it outside of the branches of the government that I have no trust and no love for. It is just a country and the idea of a country that I find myself in that I'm rooting for.
Later, who keep wanting to say equity is about equality of outcomes. It's not. It is recognizing that maybe
so it's more focusing on the past and not on the accomplishments that got them to their present that leads to their future. 100%. I understand.
Maybe we need to remove the barriers.
Remove CRT. That's a hell of a barrier, in my opinion.
That keep people from having equal opportunities.
Teaching CRT, again, that is going to do just that by making anybody, if I was an 18-year-old cadet going in and I'm being taught that I'm equal, or I'm evil because I am white passing and my ancestors were probably terrible evil folks and just a white person should not be proud of anything. Yeah, that's going to put some hurdles in front of me and my colleagues and peers, for sure. I'm glad I'm not growing up again.
That is what equity means. And I will keep repeating that definition for as long as my colleagues on the other.
Okay, all right. So there's only seconds left, and I think I've heard all I needed to hear. Guys, I'm very, very glad that you stuck around for this. Okay, I'm eagerly going back to check out every comment that I possibly can. Unfortunately, I can't do that in real time because this has to buffer and all that. But this is wild shit to me. Like, how fresh was that? This event happened 6 days ago, or was uploaded 6 days ago. And like the title, it's not just sensationalism for the sake of it. It is there to get your attention. CRT to me is just anti-white. It is that same conversation and argument, or lack of an argument, the inability to have a discussion I had with my friend Diana from years ago that said, I can't be friends with you because you believe that minorities can be racist. The same baffled current state that I feel right in the now that I had back then. They are equal and immovable. And these conversations are not helping me rest any easier regarding our country, knowing that they've already made their way into the books. These conversations should have been happening before they got their way onto the damn paper, printed to the paper, being taught to young minds. We are a nation now known for grooming and indoctrinating. And I am terrified that now suddenly I might just be feeling like I am on the side of the bad guys because our government has run amok and thrown to the wayside the hopes, the dreams, and expectations of the American working class. Common sense, the chair lady said. Kiss my ass. Good night.